Hello, Level 7 students. This is Mr. Kurt with your Speaking English lesson for today. Today we're going to move away from grammar. I'm sure a lot of you will be happy about that. And we're going to do a lesson that's pretty much straight vocabulary. We're going to learn some vocabulary words. And the subject we're going to learn today, I think a lot of you are going to like. It's a little bit funner than a lot of subjects. And the subject is animals. We're going to learn the names of animals in English. And we are not going to focus on the exotic animals, meaning animals that you would only see if you went to the zoo or on a wild safari. We're not going to talk about lions and tigers and bears, oh my. We're going to talk about animals in your life. That is animals that you might see right here in Palembang. Okay? So, animals you see in maybe in your neighborhood, maybe on your way to school, maybe in your backyard, some animals that you might even have in your house. So they might be pets or they might be pests, but they are animals that you see sometimes every day. And we're going to, by the end of this lesson, we're going to know what to call all of these animals in English. Okay, everybody ready? Let's look at some animals. Okay, when we see these animals, I want you to identify them using full English sentences. So when you see an animal, I want you to say, that is a, or that is un. Or if there's more than one animal, you say, those are, okay? But don't just shout out the name of the animal or insect. I want you to use full English sentences, and let's practice that. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's a fellow you may see a lot in your house. Very harmless. Rolls into a ball if you touch him. That's right. That is a millipede. Everybody, that is a millipede. This fellow is not so harmless. If you come across this guy, do not touch him. Anybody know? Shout it out. That's right. That is a centipede. That is a centipede. And another very common insect we see everywhere in the world. Those are ants. Those are ants. Now here's a tough one. Anybody know what this is? It may not be what you think. Anybody? That is a moth. That is a moth. And here's one you may have been expecting. I think everybody knows this. This version right here is a monarch, very popular in America. And that monarch, of course, is a butterfly. That is a butterfly. That is a butterfly. Flying free through the air. Oh, ooh, wow. Okay, never mind. Let's move on. Let's move on. So what is the difference between a butterfly and a moth? They look very similar, don't they? They're very easy to confuse. Well, there are a few differences. When they are resting, butterflies tend to fold their wings together like that, whereas moths tend to rest with their wings open and flat like that. The bodies are different. Butterflies tend to have thin, smooth bodies, whereas moths' bodies are thicker, fatter, and fuzzy. The antennae are different. Butterflies tend to have single, thin antennae, whereas moths tend to have sort of feelers like that. The largest difference, though, The most significant difference between the moth and the butterfly is in their behavior, and it is simply that butterflies are active during the day and moths come at night. If you see something flying around in the daytime, it's probably a butterfly. If it's night, it's probably a moth. What about this guy right here? Anybody know? Once again, it might not be exactly what you're thinking, because that is a toad. That is a toad. And whoa, here's a noisy fellow. That is a frog. That is a frog. So what is the difference between a frog and a toad? These animals look very similar, almost exactly alike to most people, but there are a few differences. The hind legs, the back legs of a frog are much longer, and in a toad they're shorter, because the frog tends to hop where it wants to go, and the toad tends to crawl. The skin is usually different. Frogs are generally lighter in color, and their skin is smooth, whereas the toad has a rough, warty kind of skin. Also, the toad tends to be thicker, stouter, fatter, whereas the frogs tend to be more athletic looking. One of the main differences, though, is frogs live near the water. Toads, not necessarily. Toads can go far from the water and be all right, but frogs need to stay close to the water. And speaking of noisy, here comes a young couple. You may see these if you have a body of water in your neighborhood. But what are those? Those are geese. Those are geese. And here comes the whole family of our next animal. Once again, found near bodies of water. And those are what? Somebody shouted out. Oh, holy cow. Get a hold of yourself. Those are ducks. Those are ducks rolling around and pop right back up. They take a licking and keep on ticking. There are a few differences between ducks and geese, but as you've probably seen from the video and in real life, the main difference, ducks have a very short neck, whereas geese have very long necks. This is an animal I hope you don't see a lot of in your house, because that is a rat. Everybody, that is a rat. A rat. And similar, but a little bit cuter. Everybody know what this is? Just shout it out. That's right. That is a mouse. That is a mouse. So what is the difference between a mouse and a rat? Well, mice tend to have larger ears and eyes, but as you probably know, the main difference is in size. Mice never grow to a very large size, whereas rats can grow very large. And who are those tormenting this young boy? Those are chickens. Those are chickens. And once again, a popular house guest or a not so popular house guest, that is a fly. Everybody, that is a fly. And possibly less popular than the fly, we see these everywhere. Be careful with the pronunciation. That is a mosquito. It looks like mosquito. It is not. It is mosquito. That is a mosquito. Now here's a creature you might see especially at night. That is what? Somebody shouted out. That is a bat. That is a bat. Now, this creature you may know as the luwak or the musang, but we have a strange English name for it. Anybody know? That is a civet cat. Civet cat. Now, here we have some strange, warring, almost prehistoric looking monsters. You may see these in your neighborhood. They're generally harmless. Those are monitor lizards. Those are monitor lizards. And here are a lot of what? I think you know what these are. Those are snakes. Those are snakes. And you may see these in your house. They're very common. They do a lot of good.
Gecko.
That is a gecko. That is a gecko. These you see in your house, they do not do much good. They're a very hated creature, second only to the mosquito, I think. Everybody know what that is? That is a cockroach. That is a cockroach. Ew. Much more beautiful than the cockroach, also very common outside. Very lovely insect. Shout it out. That is a dragonfly. That is a dragonfly. And here we have just the common everyday fish. That is a fish. We're not going to hold you to specific types of fish. We're just going to say that's a fish. And similarly, we're just going to give the general term for these guys. Those are birds. Those are birds. Now,
Mishka,
some of you may have one of these girls in your own home.
I love you.
That is
Mishka.
what?
Dog.
I think you know. That is a dog.
Good girl.
That is a dog.
I love you. Good girl.
Dog that happens to talk. Now, what is this? This is Mr. Kurt's least favorite creature on our entire list. Does anybody know? Yes, that is a spider. That is a spider. Ugh. And here is an animal. I think you all know this one. Many of you probably have one in your house, if not in your neighborhood. That, of course, is a cat.
Cat.
The famous Long Johnson cat. And what is going on here? Can you guess? Can you guess? Ta-da! What? Nope. That, of course, is a monkey getting up to some monkey business. The mischievous, naughty monkey. And here is, whoa, fella. That is an animal with a bizarre voice.
Zapatero, ¿qué opina usted
It
del
is,
gobierno de
of
Zapatero?
course, all
Goat.
right, that is a goat.
¿Qué opina usted del
Everybody,
gobierno canario?
that is a goat.
Y de los ayuntamientos de la...
Yeah.
All right, there we have animals of Palembang. Probably most of the animals and insects that you see around here. So how many of those did you get? How many of those did you know before you heard me say the names? Most of them? Probably. How many of those do you remember now that the video is over? Well, let's do a little quiz. Everybody ready for a little quiz? Okay, we're going to see some pictures of some animals. And once again, I want you to shout out the names of the animals that you see. And I want you to do it once again in full-throated English sentences. So, that is a, or that is un. If there is more than one animal, those are. And don't forget to put the plural S if there is more than one animal. Okay, here we go. The creature in the upper left, kind of disgusting. Somebody know what that is? That's right. That is a cockroach. That is a cockroach. Now, what about the animal right next to the cockroach? Someone tell me what that is? That's right. That is a fly. That is a fly. Now down to the lower left. Does anybody remember what that animal is and remember how to pronounce it? That's right. That is a mosquito. Mosquito. And the fearsome creature right next to the mosquito looks like it's just about ready to strike. What is that? That is a snake. That is a snake. Moving back to the upper left-hand corner, lovely creature we see everywhere. What is it? That is a bird. That is a bird. And next to the bird, what do we see? That is a fish. That is a fish. Below the bird, we have a very colorful insect, very beautiful. What do we call that? That is a butterfly. That is a butterfly. And next to the butterfly, we have a similar insect, usually not quite as colorful as the butterfly. That is a moth. That is a moth. And just below the moth, hopping around on the ground there, be careful now, what is it? That is a toad. That is a toad. Okay, moving into the upper left corner again, a creature that is pretty common around here, but in America, if people saw this, they would run screaming. What is it? A monitor lizard. That is a monitor lizard. And next to the monitor lizard, my all-time favorite, the clown prince of the animal world. That is a monkey. That is a monkey. And below the monitor lizard, noisy animal sometimes, very nice as a sauté. What is it? That is a goat. That is a goat. And speaking of sauté, what is that next to the goat? You all know that one. That is a chicken. That is a chicken. Back to the upper left corner, an insect you might see in your house. What is it? It's the harmless one. That is a millipede. That is a millipede. And just below the millipede, very industrious colony insect all over the world. That is an ant. That is an ant. Next to the ant, very lovely insect we see flying a lot of times near bodies of water. What is it? That is a dragonfly. That is a dragonfly. And below the ant, very dangerous creature, painful sting. Do not pick it up if you see it. What is it? That is a centipede. That is a centipede. And next to the centipede, the creepiest of them all, the hated, what is it? That is a spider. That is a spider. And moving into some slightly cuter territory, in the upper left there, remember, we have a kind of strange English name for that animal. That is a civet cat. A civet cat. And next to the civet cat, perched on her little tree branch there, what is that? That is a frog. That is a frog. Moving down below the civet cat, very wonderful, loyal animal. What is it? That is a dog, of course. That is a dog. And right next to the dog, another very popular pet. You all know that that is a cat. That is a cat. And moving to some more household visitors, up in the upper left, eats a lot of bugs for us. We should say thank you to the gecko. That is a gecko. And next to the gecko, something else you might see scurrying around your house, that is a mouse. That is a mouse. And just below the gecko, very similar to the mouse, but not nearly as cute, most would say, that is the rat. That is a rat. And next to the rat, an animal you might see if you have a body of water, like a pond in your neighborhood, that is a duck. That is a duck. And similar to the duck, but with that lovely long neck, what is that? That is a goose. That is a goose. And if you're outside at night, you might see these creatures flying around. What are they? That is a bat. That is a bat. And lest we forget some differences in animals that look very similar to a lot of people, the frog and toad. The frog has a longer, slimmer body, where the toad is fatter and thicker. The frog has longer back legs. Toad has short back legs. Frogs tend to have smooth skin with a lighter color, and toads have rough, warty skin and tend to be darker colored. The reason the frog has those longer legs, it moves by jumping, whereas the toad generally moves by crawling along. And frogs are generally found near the water. They need the water to live, whereas toads are generally found on land. And we have the butterfly and the moth. The butterfly tends to fold its wings together and upward when resting, whereas the moth lays its wings flat out. The butterfly has a thinner, smoother body. The moth, a thick, furry body. The butterfly has thin antennae, where the moth has antennae that are almost like feathers. And most importantly, the butterfly is active during the day, whereas the moth likes to fly around at night. Okay, now that we know the names of animals that you see in your life, I want you to practice some present simple sentences to talk about these animals in your life. Okay? Remember, present simple is simply verb 1. Present simple, subject verb 1. Okay? I have a or I have un. Do you have a pet? Okay? Do you have a dog or a cat or a bird or a fish? Okay? So talk about a pet you have. I have a fish. Or I have cats. Okay? Remember, if it's plural, we're going to take away the article and just say I have 2 cats. Okay? On my way to school, I see. What do you see on your way to school? Do you see goats? Okay, maybe on your way to school you see a field with goats in it. Don't forget, if it's plural, we need the S. I see goats. Maybe you only see 1 goat. It's always there by the side of the road on your way to school. That would be on my way to school, I see a goat. Okay? I hate. What do you hate? I hate mosquitoes. Now, when we're talking about all animals, we're not talking about an animal that you have or that you see, but we're talking about generally all of one kind of animal. We always use plural. We don't say, I hate mosquito, or I hate a mosquito. You don't hate a mosquito. That one mosquito? Really? That one? No. You hate all mosquitoes. So you say, I hate mosquitoes. I love monkeys. Okay? I love monkeys. Maybe you're talking about one monkey. I love that I love that monkey at my neighbor's house. Okay? But if you just want to talk about monkeys are an animal that you love, we want to use the plural. I love monkeys. At night I hear blank outside my window. I hear cats. At night I hear cats outside my window. Okay? Or at night I hear a dog howling. Okay? Remember, if it's more than one animal, we have no article, no a or un, and we use the s. Okay? If it's one cat, we would say at night I hear a cat outside my window. There are too many ants in our house. There are too many ants in our house. Okay? Once again, too many, we want to use plural. Okay? So, practice sentences like these. Write a few out. Practice speaking them. And write a few more. Okay? You know what to call the animals. Now, tell us about the animals in your life. So, there you have it. Most of the animals and insects you will see right here in Palembang. Did you get them all? Do you remember them all? Did we miss any? If you know of any animals or insects that maybe you see that we did not cover today, I encourage you to go online, pop in the Indonesian name, and find out the English name. Find out the English names of all the animals that you see here in your life in Indonesia. Okay? This is Mr. Kirk. Thank you. And we will see you on the next lesson. Bye-bye.